you wouldn't mind, by just checking in on your injuries. Dean Hadley, of course, picked up a calf problem on Friday at Warrington. How's he this week?
Yeah, no, he's fine. It was more just a contact injury. He wasn't sure after the game just how he got come out of the tackle, but it's more just a contact to his calf, so he's okay. Yeah, unfortunately today we're just waiting to see scans on Lee Kershaw. Went down with a knee issue, so we're hoping that's not too serious. But he's gone for scans. Other than that, we're not too bad.
Okay. When will you find out more on Lee?
When the scan comes back, hopefully tonight, but we'll wait and see.
Okay. Going back to Dean, he's walking a bit of a disciplinary tightrope, isn't he? How are you viewing that at the moment, in light of the fact that you've got the Challenge Cup just around the corner? Yeah,
it's obviously one that we need to figure out and work out what the best option is going forward for the weekend. Not ideal. The challenges, if you do challenge, and they can be doubled or more points and all that sort of stuff. So, we've accepted it. And we just have to, we'll have to make a decision around Dean, what we decide to do.
So you've got a decision to make then, have you, with it?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one of those. Look, we need to look at, we're treating this game as our next opportunity, next challenge to go after and keep the momentum that we've got, and obviously the position that we've got. So it's an important game for us. So we certainly want Dean in our side, but we just need to work out whether, I was going to give opportunity to Arubi Doro anyway. He was going to play regardless. So he'll play this weekend, and it's just, we've got to work out what it looks like back end of the week, because we don't have any, major, touch wood, any major sort of stuff at the moment, but there are definitely niggles, and we need to work out who we hold back if we need to. So that'll determine whether we go with Dean or not.
Who's carrying a niggle?
Most of them.
Who are your main ones?
No, there's a fair few. You go through every team that's got issues. So it's rugby league. It's around how many games we played. They're all got niggles. The whole competition's got niggles. So it's just whether you think you want to to keep pushing that or you don't. Every team's got niggles.
Going back to Aribi, how are you viewing this as an opportunity for him?
It's an opportunity to play. Yeah, it's an opportunity to play in Super League. It's an opportunity to show, how far he's come in a short space of time with us, and we want to give him that opportunity against a very good team. So that's the purpose of playing him. We looked at this game as a game where you were playing against an extremely tough forward pack. They're a great side. They have been for a long time. So it's an important game to so Reeve can show where he's at and show his teammates where he's at. A good opportunity for him.
Final game before the Challenge Cup final. How strong do you envisage going this week then, as we chat now?
Sorry, what do you mean by that question?
In terms of the strength of your team, your starting side, your bench as well, how strong do you envisage going? I know it's a bit up in the air, but how strong would you like to go this week?
Yeah, as I said before, we'll look to go with what we can, and then we'll just decide later on the week. I've said that the last sort of couple of weeks, we want to go out and perform well in this game. We want to win at home before Wembley, and that's what we're looking to do. So it's an important game for us. So we'll go out with a strong team.
Any players in need of a rest?
Possibly, but we'll have a look at that later on the week, whether we think players need a rest or not.
Okay. What about, can I just check on Mickey McAlorum and Rhyse Martin? Where are they at? How are they progressing?
Yeah, not too bad. Probably a little bit slower for Rhyse. We've put an earmark the Wakefield game for him. Mickey Mac's one of those where we just got to see. There's no sort of game set for him at the moment, so we'll see where he's at over the next couple of weeks, and then once you can start to filter back in, see how he passes the ball, and then obviously contact and loads and things like that. So we'll see where he's at.
And just going back to potentially resting players, have any players come up to you and said, I don't want to be rested this week?
No one's spoken about resting at all.
Okay, I see. Let's talk about Connor Barley, because he's gone out on loan, hasn't he, since we last chatted with you. How are you seeing his long-term future with you? Because I know that his deal's up, isn't it, at the end of this season?
Yeah, it is. It's like anything. We've got to make a decision on players. Players have got to make a decision on us. And we'll have those. We do have those conversations in the background, and when we've got things to share, we'll share with you guys. But obviously, we'll be sharing with the player first.
Anybody else going out on loan or coming back?
Look, yeah, we've had. I mean, Harvey Horn's been out on loan, so we'll obviously have a look at see if he can get an opportunity again. Louis Gorman, we've got a dual reg with London, so he'll go play with them. So there's bits and pieces there that wherever we can get players opportunity to go on loan, we do. But obviously, we want them training with us when they can as well.
You've spoken about how much you value momentum going into a big cup final like you've got coming up. What then value do you place on a win this week?
Look, it's performance. It's always performance, and then the result comes off the back of that. You could play well and not win, but still be content with where you're at going into a big game. But you want to win every game. Every team wants to win every game, but it's mainly going to be based around our performance and areas that we value, making sure we're good at those. Because when we are, we've shown that we can get a result, and that takes care of itself. So it's not about winning as such. You want to win, but that's not the focus going into the game. We break down areas that we value, our KPIs, we've got our trademarks for games, and then as long as we meet those, and most of the time you get a result. So it'll always be based around those things first.
Does the cup final sharpen minds or act as an unwanted distraction at this stage, Willie?
When you say distraction, what for? Well,
of course, you've got a game, haven't you, coming up against St Helens?
Yeah, absolutely. So no, this week's the most important game. It's individuals. Certain individuals are different in terms of the way they approach games or handle certain situations, but that's what I'm looking forward to at the moment, is mainly looking at individuals who handle what's in front of us, being 2 weeks' time, but the most important thing that's in front of us is Friday night. So, we've shown that we've done a good job, or the players have done a good job with that. So I'm seeing, no different this week in terms of Friday being the most important game, because that's our next game.
Given that you want the standards to be right bang up there week in, week out, after the victory at Warrington, you spoke about there were good things, but also there were other elements that you want to improve on. What in particular have you been driving home this week with your players on that one?
Sorry, if you could just repeat the question. Someone walked in, so I couldn't.
No problem. After victory at Warrington last week, you did speak about the positives, but you also said there were elements you want to be improved upon. What lessons do you feel have been learned from that, or what lessons do you want to be learned from that particular win?
Look, I think there was a fair few unforced errors. I think our discipline at times, giving away penalties, yardage penalties, wasn't good enough. We like to go set for set. I mean, Warrington do as well. We probably didn't get as much flow in the game because of the errors and the penalties that we gave. So, I'm looking for a more disciplined performance, with the ball, without the ball. And I thought we executed really well. I thought we took our opportunities. So that was pleasing, because obviously in big games, that's vital. I think, Wigan's the standout of that. They execute their moments. We're sort of building towards that. But, those big games, I mean, the grand final last year was one moment with Bevan French. You get a couple of. We had a couple of opportunities, but we didn't execute it. They defended well. Same thing as when you look at all big games, you'll notice that it's just down to key moments in games. So that was the pleasing part. But there's areas that, as I said before, that we need to work on, which we have this week.
It was another strong start for you, wasn't it, against Warrington? How much, in terms of your prep, have you placed on emphasis on that this season?
Yeah, we always want to start well. Every team wants to start well. I think consistently when you do things at training consistently, then more often than not that comes out in games. So, training, if you start well and you hit the ground running at training, more often than not that'll transfer into a game. But other teams have got the same ideas as well. They want to start fast and start. We're playing a team this week that'll do that. They like to go after you early. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a perfect game for us in the sense that we're playing against one of the top teams who are going to come here with a real confidence about them because of the way they've played the last couple of weeks. We had a tough game at their place early on in the year, which I thought we were outstanding in that game, but they've certainly improved, and they'll become ready to play, and they'll certainly want to start well as well.
In terms of performance, where did that win at their place rank in terms of your season?
Yeah, it was one of our better ones, that's for sure. I think it kick-started our season. We had, I thought we played well. I mean, Salford had their issues, obviously, but they had their best team that they've had all year, and we played well round 3, but obviously they had a lot going on. So even though I was happy with that game, people probably didn't give us credit for that game. But it was the next game, which was against St Helens. That was the one that sort of kick-started our season and the blueprint of how we wanted to play.
How wary do you have to be of Saints, given their recent upturn in form? They've been scoring quite a lot of points, haven't they, in the last couple of matches?
Yeah, look, we're not wary because we know exactly what they're going to bring. We know what type of side they are. As I said, they're one of the better teams in the competition. There's no doubt about that. So that obviously brings challenges to us, but we'll always focus on us and what we can do, and we're going to need to get our game in order to be able to perform well against a very good team.
What about their strike players then at the moment? You mentioned Jack Wellesby, but who else do you see in their side as a potential threat?
Yeah, I think they've got threats across the park. Obviously Saylor's gone to the wing. He's quick, isn't he? But Wellesby's a key indicator to their attack. I think they've got a nice balance now with Lomax, and I like George Whitby. I think he's a very good player. He's going to be an outstanding player going forward. He gets them around the park. And their forward pack are big, strong, physical pack. So they're not the quickest team in the comp, but they're a powerful team, and they certainly can hurt you anywhere on the field. Not taking anything away from there. They're outside backs. I'm a fan of Percival. I think he's a player that other players would want to play with. He's very physical. So they've got a good balance.
How confident are you that the way you perform defensively this season, you'll be able to contain them?
Yeah, I'm always confident in the outside. I'm always confident that we can defend, and what teams throw at us. I'm confident our systems hold up. But that comes back to the players' attitude. How hard they want to work for each other. They've done that so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing that happen again on Friday. We've got a home game, and it's going to be another sellout. Majority of our fans there, so they always get behind the players, and that helps them defend and work harder for each other. But it's instilled in that's who they are. It's who our players are. They do it at training when no one's here, and expecting them to do it again on Friday night.
Victory will make it your best league start to a season since 1966. As you progress the club, that will be a nice bit of history to make, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. I mean, we've said all season at the start of the season that you want to celebrate the little wins along the way, and that's just another little milestone for us. But again, we're not looking at the end result and looking at the outcome of that. There's a lot of hard work that needs to go into to be able to achieve that. So, but certainly, we'd love to reach that little milestone and see where we go off the back of that.
We wish you luck with that. Just finally, State of Origin starts, doesn't it, this week? Will you find time to watch any of that? Yeah, I will actually. So we haven't. We've always fallen on a day that we've trained, but tomorrow we've got. It's the day off for the players, and so I'm gonna find time to watch it. That's for sure. You do surprise me. Have a good one, Willie. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.
Hey, Willie. Hope you well. Just a couple from me, if that's all right.
Yeah, Josh. No worries, mate.
How's Bill Leyland?
Yeah, Bill's fine, mate. He's okay.
So is he back in contention? Obviously, that's good news before Challenge Cup, but back in contention for this week and building on his minutes.
Yes. Yeah.
How's he? I know you've spoken highly of him so far. How's he impressed you so far?
Yeah, no, he's good. As I've said all along with Bill, I think we need to remember how limited sort of games and rugby that he's played. He's only had handful, not even a handful of Super League games. He's played championship for a year or two, and he's had a season out. So, it's more around the development and looking where Bill's going to be in a couple of years' time. We had a good chat with him yesterday in and around it. Sometimes you just got to look and go, okay, where are you at the moment, and be really grateful for where you're at. As humans, we always want to strive for more, and I think it's important to do that, especially in rugby league as a player. And you want to strive to be better. That's it's a good trait to have, but it's also good to reflect and just see where you're at. And I think he's come a long way from where he was with his ACL, and us helping him, or London initially helping him, but then us getting him back on track and getting him through the end of that rehab, getting him strong again. But it's been Bill, the one that's has done all the hard yards in terms of putting himself in a strong position to be able to be selected in our side, and he's doing a good job.
Good to hear. Obviously, after the win over Warrington, we were talking about Hiku, but just another player that had a big impact in that game that we did talk about with 2 assists and a try is Tyrone May. Just to comment on the sort of influence and impact he's having. Obviously, but we speak about Mikey Lewis and the magic that he produces. How big is Tyrone May for this team?
He's massive for our team. I think all you need to have a look at last year, when you go through our tries and go 2-3 plays ahead, or even if it is in that play, a lot of it is in and around Tyrone May. He creates a lot of space for Mikey, creates a lot of space for his outside men, and he's the one organising everything in our attack. So he's a massive part to what we do, and we value him a lot. He played well on the weekend. It's good to see that he's getting recognised. I mean, he made a team of the week, and that he is getting recognised for that, because a lot of the time it might be the person that's thrown the last pass or the person that scores the try, but there's a lot going on in and around Tyrone leading into that.
Good stuff. Thanks for that. I'll pass you on. Best luck this week.
Cheers. Thank you.
Hi, Willie. It's Martin here.
Hey, Martin.
Good to see you, mate.
You too, mate.
Just a quick one. A couple of years ago, when you were at Wembley, you sacrificed a game before the Challenge Cup final when you went to Wigan, and obviously picked a team largely of reserve players, I would say. From what you've said so far, that's definitely not on the agenda for this year. Maybe apart from Dean Hadley, conceivably. Would that sum it up reasonably well?
Yes, definitely, mate. I've said it last sort of few weeks. I think you learn a lot. At the time, it was a club decision. I think we felt, the club we hadn't been in a position like that. 2015 was the last one, and then before that was a long time, since being in Super League or a Challenge Cup, being able to get close to a trophy. So, at the time we thought that was the best decision. And now you always look at evidence, and I think the last 2 years have probably shown that you need to have, it's good to have momentum, not need to, but it's good to have momentum. And that's what we want to keep at the moment. Now, as I said before, you could lose games, and that doesn't mean your momentum's stopped. It means, you need to look at areas you need to work on. But for us this week, if we can put in a strong performance, I still think off the back of what we've done, there's momentum going into that final. So we want to keep that. So there's no doubt that we'll look to play a strong team. Now, what that strong team looks like, we need to work out the back end of the week. But yeah, that's a fair call in terms of we won't be playing youth side this week.
The final point from me, mate. Joe Burgess scored a terrific try, created by a brilliant Mikey Lewis pass. But the way he just sort of sneaked inside the touchline and inside the corner post and so on. Did that try, bearing in mind Matty Ashton, who might have been first choice for England later this year, is now definitely out. Was that the sort of point at which hopefully Joe Burgess might have stated his case for an England selection, do you think?
Yeah, look, I said it last week or the week before, I think it was. I mean, in those Ashes games, in big games, and it's going to be a really, really good series this year. It's both teams, strong teams, and again, it might come down to moments, and it might be a moment like that where a winger needs to score a try and stay in field and do something special, which Joe can do. But look, I think for Joe, we've got some big games coming up, and I'm sure Sean Wayne will be looking at the game in 2 weeks. We'll be looking at the game Friday, obviously against a top forward team, and then the week after at Wembley to go. He'll be looking at players involved in that. So it's important Joe just maintains what he's doing at the moment. But what we value with his game is, we look at actions of the week and actions that don't involve talent. It's all around competing and working hard for your teammate, and he seems to be popping up all the time. So we love what he's doing there for us, and I think someone like Sean Wayne to be watching that and notice that. But it'd be good for other people to see what he does off the ball and the ground he covers to be able to help his teammate, not just seeing the try that he scored, because we know he can do that when he's in open space. But yeah, as I say, I think Sean will be looking at definitely in 2 weeks' time to see, okay, who's stepping up in those sort of big games.
Okay, mate. Good luck on Friday night.
Thanks, Martin. Cheers, mate.
Hi, Willie. All right.
Hey, Sam. Good, mate. You?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, just spoke to Jez, and one of the things that he mentioned about in terms of like a motivating factor was the fact that this is a team that's hurting from the 24 grand final, the 23 Challenge Cup final, and even semi-finals prior to that. Would you say that the fact that the squad is hurting, would you say that's either one, accurate, and two, would you say that's the biggest factor as to why you've kind of kicked on so much and you're not letting games like this weekend go, where you're kind of focusing on every single thing all the time?
Yeah, look, I don't think. I mean, everyone's different. If Jez has said, that we're hurting and he's hurting, that's how he feels. And whatever motivates you to want to be better, that's I think it's a good thing. So, I'm sure some players will be looking at that and using that as motivation. But for me, I think I'm looking at this team more. The driving force that they want to improve, they want to be better. And I think that's a more powerful motivation, because I think someone asked me before, or a couple of weeks ago, we played Lee in the final. Would it be revenge? And no, it wouldn't, because when you want revenge on something, you get too emotional about it and you start losing track of what you can control and what you do. I think it's similar. I think what we experienced a couple of years ago, at Wembley, and we got told around, Brian Hall said a story beforehand around it's a long bus trip home and all that. Absolutely, we experienced that, and it was 100% right. But I don't think you're going to be looking at thinking about, I don't want to have that long bus trip home. If we lose, it's going to be based around what you can achieve and use that more as the motivation. And so Friday night for us is the most important game, and this team, what they do well is they've had the ability to be able to focus on the next job. I know it can be cliche, but it's week to week. This is the most important week for us. We'll worry about next week when we need to, but Friday night's the most important. So, we've trained today. I haven't seen too much to go. They're not focused on Friday night. Wasn't our best session, but wasn't our worst either. So as a coach, I'm okay with that, just as long as we turn up on Thursday and we're ready to go for captain's run, and more importantly Friday.
Just on last week, Mikey Lewis obviously slots a drop goal in the 80th minute. Was that like a directive of kind of practice a drop goal just because you got a couple of big games, or was that just Mikey being Mikey? Yeah, no,
we wanted to, obviously a good opportunity to be able to, we put him in practice here, and he seems to be getting more in the game, which is good. So, look, it's an opportunity to be able to work towards kicking a field goal in games. So there was an opportunity there at the end, and he took it and he nailed it as well. So regardless of score or whatever, it was an opportunity to be able to set up in the game and then try and execute a field goal, which he did.
Look forward to seeing one on Friday night then. Thank you very much. And best of luck this weekend. Off Friday.
Thank you, mate.